So in order for us to add the plugin, the Flutter plugin in our Android Studio, it's very simple. So you open up your Android Studio, assuming that obviously you have downloaded and installed on your machine, and let it do its thing. We go to Configure down here, and what we're going to do, we're going to go to Plugins, click there, and then you will see this window showing here. So what we're going to do is, at the top here, we're going to just type Flutter as such. And of course, nothing's going to show because we have to go to search in repository. So let's click there. And there we go. There is indeed Flutter languages, as in language there. Click on Flutter. And then you're going to be able to install. So go ahead and install. It says here, the plugin you want to install requires other plugin Dart, which have to be installed as well. So the beauty here is that we can just say yes, and it will go and fetch the Dart plugin for us. So say OK, and look at this. It's installing Dart first, because Dart is the language used on Flutter to build those applications. And it was real quick. Now we have to restart our Android Studio. So click on Restart. Say OK. I'm going to go ahead and restart. Will take a few seconds. Once you restarted Android Studio, you will notice now we have this Start a New Flutter project. So again, remember, this is just one side of the equation, meaning that you don't have to use Android Studio, right? You have to have Android Studio installed in order for you to use Flutter, but you don't have to use Android Studio to create Flutter project. Okay, but this is just something that I'm going to show you. That way you have a fuller overview of things you can do. All right, so I'm going to say create or start a new Flutter project. There we go. It says here you can create a Flutter plugin or Flutter package. We just want a Flutter application. I'm going to go ahead and say next. And here we go. We're going to call this Flutter app, and we need to go and get the SDK path. And we know where the SDK path is because if you click here, we go and then we just click on Flutter. Say OK. There we go. So you just go to where you added your Flutter. In this case was I put it under dev, actually under drive D. I created a folder dev and I put the Flutter folder. So this is how you do it. And we're going to go and say next. We can put your company here. You can leave as it is right now, and everything else is fine. I'm just going to go ahead and say finish. And there we go. So our new project, Flutter project, is being created. And this may take a few seconds, so be patient with it. All right, so after a few moments, we should have our first Flutter project running on Android Studio. This is really great. And so you can see here we have all the code, but things here are still running in the background. So because this is the first time, so this may take a little while. So again, just be patient with it. Also remember that I'm running on a very slow Windows laptop, so I really apologize for that. In your case, you're probably already done and so forth. So next thing we're going to do here is, notice at the top here, we don't have any devices. So this is the right time for us to add new devices, new emulators, which will allow us to test our apps that we create with Flutter. Okay, so to do that, it's simply click on this AVD manager here, right? Android Virtual Device Manager. Click on that. Should give you a new window here. So this one says here we can create a new virtual device. So just click on that, and there we go. So we have a few options here. We can do for TV, phone, Wear, and tablet. We're just interested in the phone here, so it's going to be phone, and we can pick the name we want. And you can see here there's sizes and resolutions and so forth. Okay, so we're going to get. Let's start with at least Pixel 2. That's a decent one. And I'm going to say next. It's refreshing everything. So in this case here, we need to select a system image here, right? So in this case, you see there's Oreo, Nougat, and all of these Android versions and API levels here. I'm just going to go with Oreo this time. So I'm going to click on Oreo like that. It's going to go ahead and download all of the dependencies for Oreo. That way we're able to create an actual image of the device for us to be able to then run applications. Take a few seconds here. There's a lot of setting up. It's all good. So say next. And is downloading everything that we need. All right, so once we've gone through the process, we can just go ahead and say finish. Okay, there we go. We have Oreo like that. Now, if you see this recommendation that says that, we need to enable VTX in the BIOS. I'm not going to go through that because there's a lot of information online that you can find to get that. But what that will do, it will just allow for the emulator to run faster in certain Windows computers. Perfect. So then you click here on the downloaded installed API. Okay, just say next. We can say portrait. That's all good. We can even give it a name that we want. We can go ahead and say Pixel Emulator. Okay, you don't have to change the name, but I always find it always a good idea. I want to keep it startup orientation to be portrait. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say finish. Takes a few seconds. And there we go. You can see now we have our Pixel Emulator showing up there. Very nice. So what next we're going to do, we can actually go ahead in the actions, we can go ahead and run it. Now, because like I said before, it says here Intel Haxum required to run AVD is disabled in BIOS. Okay, so now this is where you would have to go and find the documentations to where you can actually get this to work. Okay, so I'll link up a few videos where you can go and do that on your computer so that if you run into this issue, you can actually go ahead and get it working.